No villain has ever truly beaten Batman, none of the killers, the masterminds or the monsters. Hell, he's even had fistfights with literal gods and come out on top. But sometimes Gotham doesn't need a villain to take him down. Sometimes it's enough for him to see that the city never really changes, no matter how many times he saves it. During his quiet moments, the thought enters his mind that Gotham's already fallen and he's the only one still pretending it hasn't. Maybe he's just propping up the ruins because he doesn't know what else to do. That's what the Batman the Animated Series episode I Am The Night is about. There's no supervillain with a grand scheme to unravel here. Really, it's about a man who's tired, depressed, and unsure if he's ever truly made a difference. And the real strength of this episode is that, yes, everything Batman feels is valid. There really is only so much one person can do, but the fact that he's doing something every night is incredibly powerful. That's the message that hums beneath the gloom of I Am The Night, that the small victories still matter. That even when the world refuses to change, the act of trying still has value. Every little helps, and sometimes that's enough to keep the darkness at bay. For those that haven't seen the episode, the basic premise is that on the anniversary of his parents' murder, Batman feels gloomy. Well, gloomier than usual. The Penguin has just been acquitted because of Batman's involvement in his arrest, and the tide of scum and villainy shows no sign of lessening. Just to linger on that point about the Penguin for a moment, while BTAS episodes didn't air in chronological order, we'd already seen the kinds of things he was doing: kidnapping, attempted murder, theft. So to see him walk free on a technicality is understandably upsetting for Batman. Even when he meets with Leslie Tompkins to place a rose in memorial of his parents, he couldn't even take a moment to mourn. Crime just doesn't rest. To make matters worse, Commissioner Gordon, the symbol of justice in Gotham City, was gunned down during a raid. Batman was supposed to be there, but he was delayed, saving a small-time crook nicknamed Wizard from being assaulted. Once he arrives, he helps the police turn the tables on the crooks, and their leader, Jimmy Jazzman Peak, is arrested. But in the chaos, Jazzman got a shot off and seriously wounded Gordon. Batman blames himself for Gordon's injury. If he had got there sooner, then things might have been different. And this is a key personality trait of Batman's. He treats every failure in Gotham as his fault, which speaks to his almost pathological need for control, as though he could personally fix every broken thing if he just worked harder. But this mentality is what has led to his feelings of burnout. He has been trying too hard, taking on too much responsibility for any reasonable person to handle. And it's really fascinating to see how each character reacts to Commissioner Gordon getting shot. His shooting is symbolic of Gotham's conscience being wounded. He's an authority figure who believes in Batman, so when he falls, Batman's faith in himself falls along with him. Batman internalizes his feelings of guilt. He sees Gordon's injury as proof that he's failed. There's just too much for one man to deal with. His reaction is inward and self-punishing. It's the mindset of someone who thinks the world only spins because he's pushing it. It's also survivor's guilt turned inward until it eats through his emotional armour. Harvey Bullock, meanwhile, externalizes it. He was the one that pushed Gordon to start the raid before Batman arrived. It's now or never, he argued. And he didn't notice Gordon had been wounded until after the fact. He definitely blames himself. He's angry, volatile, desperate for someone else to blame, and he chooses Batman. Not because he truly believes it's his fault, but because it's easier to throw a punch than to face helplessness. Bullock's guilt manifests as aggression, a defensive reflex for a man who cares more than he'll admit. Barbara Gordon and Robin represent the opposite energy. They are the idealists still burning with youthful conviction that good will prevail. They haven't been beaten down yet by time or failure. Their insistence on hope isn't naive though, it's necessary. It's what Batman himself has forgotten. Commissioner Gordon blames himself too. He thinks that he's too old, not spry or at the height of his power, like he perceives Batman to be. And that's the funny thing, his regret lines up perfectly with Batman's. Both men fear that their best days are behind them. This web of reactions shows the spectrum of grief that defines Gotham. Everyone feels responsible, but no one truly is, except for Jazzman, who actually fired the shot. But the shared guilt binds them in a way that's genuinely human. Ultimately, it's not about who's to blame, but how each of them reacts to failure. And speaking of Jazzman, I think that the real strength of this episode is that while he is technically the villain of the story, he's a complete nobody, somebody that Batman wouldn't bother to punch for a second time. I think that the story would be completely different if Gordon had been shot by, say, Two-Face or the Riddler. By not including a major villain, the episode really underscores the fact that there's more to Gotham's dire situation than costumed criminals, whose crimes almost seem quaint compared to everyday violence. However, I'd argue that the real antagonist is hopelessness itself. It's a clever subversion that proves the most dangerous threats to Batman are internal. While Jazzman only appeared in this episode, he returned in the pages of Batman The Adventures Continue Season 2, Issue 3, which was written by Alan Burnett and Paul Dini. Here he was expanded to being one of the killers of the Bertinelli family, who got musical notes tattooed on his body after every kill. Essentially, he was the DCAU's version of Mr. Zsasz. It's a solid story where Batgirl, of all people, has to protect him from the Huntress, who wants to avenge her murdered family. But in the episode, he really is a petty nobody. He had a grudge against Gordon for busting him in the past, and when he saw the chance to get even, he took it. He got a small taste of infamy after shooting Gordon, and decides that in order to truly cement his reputation, he has to escape from prison and finish Gordon off. It's the threat to Gordon's life that causes Batman to shake off the cobwebs and get back to action. Jazzman is perfectly representative of the problem Gotham faces. Gotham is full of these unremarkable ordinary men who are bitter, twisted, and think that the world owes them something. Batman fights against men like him all the time. So you can completely understand why Batman might feel like King Canute shouting at the tide. While Batman knows how to handle the mentally unwell, regardless of how effective it is, what do you do about a perfectly sane person that refuses to abide by the law? So yes, Batman's frustrations are entirely valid. He's right to say that his war on crime has no endpoint. The episode explicitly says that justice isn't something you win and then forget about, it's something you have to maintain, imperfectly, every day. And Batman's choice to return to action at the end isn't a triumphant victory. It's not like he overcame his doubts, it's more that he learned to live with them. And that's what makes it real, what makes it speak to me, and I suspect many of you too. I think that this acceptance is mirrored in the character of Leslie Tompkins, a woman who has spent her entire life working towards bettering her community. She has seen Gotham's decline firsthand, and yet she still does everything she can to help people, despite how hopeless it can sometimes seem. She is present when Batman saves Wizard from the debt collectors and takes him to the mission, so that he has somewhere safe to sleep for the night. You could say that Wizard is the thread that ties everything together. When Batman first encounters him, Wizard doesn't want saving and resists accepting Batman's help. If Jazzman is the living embodiment of Batman's fears, then Wizard is the embodiment of his frustrations. That his efforts don't change anything, and that the people he fights for don't even want his help. But then Wizard reappears at the episode's conclusion. While Batman initially suspects him of stealing someone's suitcase, in reality, it's his own. Yes, he had rejected Batman's help earlier, but his words started to sink in. Wizard has decided to leave Gotham and a life of petty crime, to go back home to start over. It's a very small thing, but it perfectly underscores Batman's philosophy. Yes, Batman has saved one lost soul, and that's enough. It doesn't undo the pain or fix the city, but it proves that his mission still means something. Batman spends the whole story wondering whether he's made a difference, and the universe answers back through a nameless kid who got out because he did. And that's the brilliance of I Am The Night. It shows us that even the world's greatest hero can doubt himself, he can falter and feel like nothing he does matters. But it also reminds us that change doesn't have to be monumental to be meaningful. Saving a life, giving someone a second chance, and showing up despite being in pain are all victories worth fighting for. While the episode began with Batman's head in his hands, it ends with a small smile. He accepts that he can't solve every problem and that there will always be things he has no control over, but he embraces the small victories and accepts that trying still matters. Okay, that's it for this week's essay. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, tell all your friends about me. You know how YouTube works. If you really enjoyed the video and have the means, please consider making use of the thanks button to send a buck or two my way, because every little helps. I offer channel memberships for $1.99 a month. This will get you early access to my weekly video essay, priority responses to your comments, members-only videos, custom emojis, and an icon on your profile indicating that you're one of my people. next time. When I return on Friday, I'll go back to the results of my most recent Batman Beyond villain poll to talk about a group that kidnaps gifted children and turns them into weapons. It's time to talk about the Brain Trust. And next Monday it'll be time to go to the vibrant streets of Dakota once more to talk about the volatile bully Hot Streak. Hope to see you then.